Welcome back to Fourby and welcome back to my workshop. Last time we were here we were looking at the C section of the Sill for the 110 Land Rover, and we put in a repair section and welded that in. We verified it against the car. Today what I'm going to be doing is making up some captive nuts, because in order for me to jig this properly I need to make sure that the tub is secure and in the right position. So come and join me and I'll show you the process involved. Last time we were here we committed to our welding on the repair section to the existing section, and we dabbed a little paint on here, and let me show you where this now goes on the sill. So here we have the sill and the B pillar, and this is the C pillar which we welded up, and that is going to go on there, and we'll weld it around. But before we can do that we need to make sure that the tub is in the correct position for welding and that the C pillar is in the correct position for welding. Now I had a message from a guy called Paul Lee on the last video because I was struggling to remember the name of these little clamps, and these are Clecos, and since I shot the last video I went and I bought a set of these on eBay, and I'm going to use these in the rivet holes to align this to the tub, but the tub needs to be in exactly the right position, and that is what I'm going to work on today. So thank you, Paul. Now what we're looking at here is the rear cross member of the 110 and the back tub, and if anybody has ever tried to assemble one of these you'll know the difficulties involved in trying to get a nut on the back of the bolts that bolt the back tub on. And I noticed that we've got these little holes either side, and I did a bit of research and I found out that there are captive plates that should be on the back of here, and I took some measurements. On the back of the car where the cross member meets the tub are 10 bolts, and on the back of 3 of them are captive nuts, and I took some measurements and I drew it up in AutoCAD. Now I tend to use AutoCAD quite a bit for this kind of thing and print it out on a 1:1 scale, and by doing it on a 1:1 scale helps me find the center of the holes, because I can cut these out and use them as a template. Now I've got some stainless steel here which I intend to use for that, and it's about the right size, there or thereabouts. So I'm going to cut some of these out and I'm going to stick them on here, and we're just going to spot the holes, and then we're going to weld some stainless steel nuts onto these and create our own captive plates. So like I just said, these are printed in a 1:1 scale. If you want a copy of the drawing, what I'll do is I'll chuck it on a PDF and I'll put it on our website. You can download it. But for now, we're going to cut one of these out and we're going to see how we get on. We're welding some stainless steel to some stainless steel. So one of the things that I do keep in my workshop is a little Pritt stick, and it's good for just sticking these templates onto the surface of whatever material it is that you're going to be using. And what we got here is a bit of stainless, and let's stick that on. So I've got a little centre punch and a little hammer, and we're going to find the centre of these holes and give them a bash. So I've got a couple of drills. I've got this little cobalt spot drill which I'm going to use just to spot the holes, and we're going to use a 8.5mm as the clearance hole for the bolts. I tend to keep a countersink bit in an old hand drill for this very purpose. Just for deragging holes. And now what we need to do is cut this off, so we'll use the guillotine for that. Let me find a square. Put the square on there, and I'll mark it, and then we'll get it cut. So once again, we're going to use the magnificent Hill shear for this. And we're just going to cut across that line we scribed. Grab a stainless steel bolt, a nut, and we'll just drop a couple of tacks either side, and that should do it. So I'm just dropping just a touch of copper grease on the bolt. And we're gonna put that through, spin a nut down on it. Ooh, that's not a particularly good thread. Something's not a particularly good thread. That one's better. Okay. Now I'm going to clamp this into my drill press vise, which I use almost as much for welding as I do on the drill press. It's a very, very useful tool to have knocking around the workshop. So we're getting set up to do a little TIG weld on these, just a couple of little tacks either side. I've got my welder set, I'm maxing it out at about 90 amps, about 10 CFH on the gas. I've got a stainless steel filler rod, and I'm going to be using the foot pedal to control my amperage. So there we have it, the first of our captive plates, and you can see there I got it just a bit too hot with a weld, melted the edge, but it doesn't really matter where these are going. So I think before we make any more, I'm going to try this one, make sure it fits, and then another 2 to make. Thanks for watching. I'll see you on the next one.